We all pretend doing many things. Like we pretend we are on diet but sneak in junk. We pretend we have Instagram worthy look but the whole time just normal is. I mean, what's wrong in accepting ourselves? We pretend we love certain gifts on our birthdays but actually we don't. We pretend to know the answer in class but in reality we have no clue. I realize pretending is sometimes very silly. There are many occasions when we don't need to pretend. Like accepting the fact that you don't know the answer in class. I mean, why to fear that humiliation and pointy fingers? Duh. But sometimes I agree, pretending seems like the best thing to do, especially when it comes in saving your dignity. I mean, who discovered that we need to safeguard our dignity? Can't it be just us doing silly things? Anyways, I remember a time when I was in my first semester of my undergrad. I was just trying to get used to the place and loved hanging out with my friends. So as the days went by, examination approached and I started preparing for it with my friends. The two subjects that I despised a lot were maths and history. So I didn't pay much attention to them even the day before the exams. That I just brushed through my maths book an afternoon, went out with my friends, leaving maths all alone. Next day, exam. I did whatever I could, hoping that I just pass, and was chilling. So the same story happened with my history exam as well. So on the day of the result, hoping that I passed, I got in the class. And Mrs. Alfonso was giving out the papers. She called out my name specially and I was like, oh no, I'm done. And she silently handed over the paper and I hesitantly looked at my marks and guess what? I've got 98% in math and history. The two very subjects I hated. I went crazy. But the more crazier thing is my friend's reaction. First of all, I have no clue how I got it. And now my friend's looking at me like I'm a secret Albert Einstein who scores without studying. So I had to pretend like one, just to live in the moment. I mean, yeah, sometimes you've gotta let yourself seize the moment, right? Anyways, in this case, pretending seemed quite fun. But during the semester, I really wanted to get my driving license, so I applied for it. By the way, I'm not used to living in these poorish, messy, metropolitan cities of India, so the traffic sweated me so much that it melts me with fear even now. Can you imagine learning driving in that fear? Plus, had a very bad knowledge of city roads. I mean, who follows the lane in India? No one. So I got into the driver's seat and started the car to drive for the very first time. And at that very moment, I could literally hear my heart screaming but forced a smile on my face, pretending like I'm an expert driver driving my whole life since birth. Pretending to be brave seems to be a key player of our lives. In every new thing you want to do, or when you already know based on your gut feel what the outcome would be, or just over-imagining creates the issue. Like for example, stage fear. The moment you look at the whole crowd sitting right in front of you, literally your every cell and body gets to its freeze mode. Sweat will cover your whole self and the pulse moving in your vessels can be heard out louder than your voice. And still, you'll manage blabbering something, pretending like you know what you're doing. And that fear is simply an output of your imagination, like I already said. Sometimes pretending by acting to not hurt others happen. Just because you still have a sweet, sweet angel somewhere still stuck inside of you, hoping you'll one day be holy and saintly. I happen to remember a time when I was sitting in a restaurant, and by the way, I was raised up abroad. So in this case, a lady, a foreign lady I would say, she came near me and said something smilingly at me in another language. I didn't understand a word. She went on like blah 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 and I was like hehehe, smiling at her and nodding my head like I totally got it. Yeah, sometimes you've got to pretend like that just to be kind, which is definitely not a bad thing I would say, but I just realized that sometimes we pretend to be something for yourself when in reality it's a different story. Well, I have a question to you guys. Does anyone like doing something but is scared of doing it? Like, for example, I personally love dogs, especially golden retrievers. They are my favorite. But I remember a time when I was in a dog park, this big old Goldie, such a beautiful dog, came near me. But I panicked. I was stupid enough to panic looking at its size, but since the dog's owner was nearby, I pretended to act like I was totally fine around the dog, but didn't put even a pinky finger. And I'm so sorry, dear Goldie. I did not know why I couldn't do it. Maybe it's because I didn't expect that you poor dog to come near me, or is it because I was just scared? Stupid fear. Well, I might as well make another video with it, I guess. So, yeah. I happen to remember the worst pretending I ever had to do. So before I get into that story, I want to ask you guys to remember the times when your dearest friends have put you in a situation when you have to pretend to do something just to save their necks. My friend Chitra, she was in love with my classmate Dave, and I love to ship them. They're such an amazing couple. But I remember the times I had third wheeled them, like most of us do. So I remember we went to this cafe, obviously like a third wheeler, and it was boring for me, and yes, probably the last time I did it. But the worst thing is what happened after we left the place. I had presumed that she had also started to her house, but obviously she didn't. Thus, innocent sweet Indy, she got home and went straight to bed. But within a few minutes, Chitra's mom called me, and I got up, sat on my bed, unable to open my eyes, and I was like, "Hi, Auntie, how are you?" She goes like, "Good, but where is Chitra? She has not picked up the call." And I had to guard for the sake of friendship. So I pretended by saying, "She's with me, Auntie," and kept the call. After that lie, I couldn't sleep the rest of the night. I immediately checked with Chitra, and it seems she and Dave are together in beach. Guys, please don't make me to lie like that. It was hard cheating a parent who was just concerned. The worst thing is lying to pretend a fake reality. It always leaves a dark, deep guilt in your heart. Who wants to do that? Some of the craziest pretendings I have done are super idiotic and silly, especially in my childhood. I can keep going on with that. But okay, the last one for you guys. Trust me, the last one. When I was in my third grade, I remember my mom, she packs these big buns with sausages. Yes, sausages. I was raised up abroad, so sausages indeed. But I hated them. Not now, but back then, even the smell of it made me puke. Moreover, I was not into non-veg. You name it, chicken, mutton, fish, and even anda. I hated them all. Again, not now, but back then, I was a total vegetarian. But my parents are of a good concern for me, just like our fellow Indian parents forced me to have them because of my thin body. At one point, I was so fed up with these hot dogs, so I stopped eating them. But you have gotta come to home with an empty tiffin box, isn't it? So cleverly, my brother and myself, we buried these hot dogs and gave them a funeral at a ground near my home. R.I.P. hot dogs, your reign is over. For a few days at least, I thought we managed really well to escape from our parents until a third-party anonymous stranger, who knows from where did he come from, gave a witness on what was happening at the ground opposite to his house. So this whole time we had a spy watching over us, and we two little kids didn't know about it. It's funny thinking about it now, how crazy and innocent we were, pretending like some master villains wearing a hot dog. Lord. Anyways, guys, when pretending, we've gotta know if it's worth it or not. If the outcome is for good, well, yes. But if not, let's fight over that little monster and get on with doing the right like a real superhero and definitely not like a villain.